All right. Being the engagement that was shown on the first video, I figured I would make a second portion to the topic. I've had requests to continue to make some types of videos, and seeing how relatable of a topic this is, I figure I can make some points that are essentially the same points, but of a different twist in a way. In the future, for other types of videos that I would look to do are spiritual, ancient texts related concepts that are similar in alignment to antinatalism. With any of these videos, it's not really having to convince anybody. Those that will know, and those that understand the situation that we find ourselves in. There's no having to wake people up, really. They will wake up on their own accord, just like we wake up every morning. We wake up on our own accord. Those that won't, that's on them. People don't want to have to get waken up by somebody else. That's not the best thing to do. You're going to put them in a very pissed off mood. So yeah, let's just keep this to ourselves. And for those that are willing to hear, we'll let them know for those that are willing to hear. But yeah, with work, to go a bit more, I do see the anti-work concept as a gateway to antinatalism. I think that's pretty clear, seeing just how predominant of a situation work is within any livelihood for the most part for most people here. Seeing the struggle that gets within that type of realm, it just is such an easy access into understanding the ethics behind why it's just so faulty to look to justify putting somebody to go through this process here. Because again, it's just struggle. Why are we romanticizing struggle? It doesn't make any sense. I don't care how good we have it, whoever has it. You had a struggle. I mean, we had to go through school. Even just the decision-making process to any of this, the upkeeping we have to do, even if you got whatever profession you have, great, you have to maintain it. It doesn't just stop. You have to continue to work, to continue to enhance your areas of specialty, your craft. There will be times when we don't want to necessarily have to do certain things in that realm, but we will have to do those certain things. So again, it's just struggle. It doesn't make sense to romanticize that. And for those that don't romanticize that, it doesn't make sense then to put somebody else here to have to do any of that. So there really isn't much to say otherwise than abstaining from it all. But with this current modern era we find ourselves in, I think it really can be argued, it's not really that far-fetched in my eyes, that this is just advanced slavery, more sophisticated form of slavery that we find ourselves in. Feudalism 2.0, as I sometimes say. And that's just the facts. I mean, we're paying to live. We're paying to survive, okay? If we're paying to survive, I mean, we're really pretty much no more better than a slave, really. That's what we're doing here. We're already slaves to our bodies on a physiological, psychological standpoint, but now we have a structure of a socio-political climate that's overarching upon our livelihoods, and we think this is okay. It's just silly. Silly how we look to back up this concept of work. Silly that we look to back up the concept of being in a deficient state, fundamentally. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to look to promote that. I mean, how good can we really think this thing is going to get when we're working upon a negative? Again, it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. Something as simple as just saying or asking, what problem did existence solve that it didn't initially create? Okay, so when we're able to understand that we're working off of the basis of creating an unnecessary problem to be solved, obviously from that basis, there's only but such travesty that could look to be taken from, with that foundation being the case. So once you're able to see the simple truths in our reality, it's just night and day. It's night and day to understanding the insanity going on. And we're not doing anything to ultimately fix even the excessive stuff. I mean, we're going to be founded upon this nature. That's not necessarily the point in this remark, but I mean, you talk about late stage capitalism, people that essentially know the fucked up nature that we currently find ourselves in the current culture that we look to upkeep within these different economic modes. We understand the faultiness going on. But again, what are we ultimately doing to change such economic models? Not much. Not much. So if we're not really doing anything about it, but we're understanding the unfortunate predicament going on, and that's for anybody. Anybody understands the unfortunate scenario going on, then it's just insanity to look to back this up, to promote this. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. I don't know how else to put it. It's just a bunch of theorizing, conceptualization going on for the most part. People just essentially making ideas and thinking about how to make those ideas come into fruition. But is anything of any substance actually coming into fruition? No. You see people online and they'll look to make videos or, go on Twitter or any type of social media and talk so much crap about the world, just like I'm doing. But they talk in the sense of that we can fix this. This is not a problem that can ultimately be fixed in that sense. Because again, what are we looking to really do about it? We're really just talking amongst each other on black screens, typing onto a black screen, but the actual works that we're doing in our actual reality, not much. We're barely able to take care of ourselves. Now we're trying to change the world. I mean, I appreciate the aspirations, but the actual manifestation of it's very slim. So it doesn't make sense to know your limitations in that area. And then again, just back up how this is okay to promote, let alone the whole idea that we're gonna die. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? The cost benefit analysis of work is just ridiculous. There's the whole 4-day work week, and who wouldn't want a 4-day work week? Sure. But then what's going to happen from there? We're going to have a new baseline, and then we're going to want something else. Humans, we're prone to have a form of dissatisfaction. Okay, so when we understand our nature, having these so-called answers aren't really answers. They're just Band-Aids that you're going to have to remove at some point. And the wound will then create itself back forth. So I appreciate people looking to do what they can, but it doesn't make sense when you really, again, understand our nature, where we're prone to have problems, new problems that we want fixed. So it doesn't hold up to water, let alone, again, whatever we have going on. It's just very futile. And there's a whole concept of entrepreneurship, having your own business. Great for people that do. And there's most people that say most people should have their own business. And the whole concept around that is just kind of silly. So we have all these problems that are apparently so prominent of an issue that we have everybody essentially their own owner, looking to, help others when they're really just trying to help themselves. That's really the issue with work. It's just, again, really you looking to do something for yourself more than anything. And so when we're working upon that type of framework, there's no true authentic nature with work. We like to say, oh, we're helping out with this, that, and the fourth, but we're starting off with being deprived, and so we're putting ourselves in a situation that we would rather not necessarily be in for the betterment of ourselves. So no one's going to necessarily work for somebody and then or work to do something and have it be a detriment to them. People are going to do something for others, sure, but they're still going to make sure that they're okay, and rightfully so. But when we understand that this is essentially, again, a vampiric nature, that we're essentially feeding off of each other, feeding off of the insecurities, the deficiencies, the inadequacies of others, it's just pretty fucked up, to put it frank. Pretty fucked up. Doesn't make sense about the whole business thing, again, with being an entrepreneur, because, the whole practicality of that doesn't make sense. We're not going to be able to really do much by ourselves. That everyone is their own boss. So there's a opposite end to that where, rightfully so, if you were to say that you're never going to get the same respect that you would want to get if you are not your own owner, sure, without question. That is true. But again, it doesn't make sense if everybody were to be their own owner, because we really we would not have the same world that we have here. And this really isn't even that great, but it would be even worse if we're all here just doing our own thing, even more so. And then the whole concept with AI, how we're essentially, we're just limiting ourselves. We're not looking to promote a better way of life. I know the whole concept about AI, and then they're aware, and then, people feel bad about them, rightfully so. But if we can get humans to stop having to toil, then yeah, let's do that. Why are we not doing that yet? What are we waiting for? Oh, because we need more jobs? Okay. Sure. But then again, it just proves the insanity. We're not progressing ourselves for very frivolous matters like that. Just goes back to the whole concept that we know is fucked up. It doesn't make sense, but we're okay with it. And it's just sad. It's just sad how we're okay with that type of struggle. Doesn't make sense to me. I just think people need to sit down and really understand the dilemma we find ourselves in and the consequences that we all play into such a reality. People will say, and I understand, ignorance is bliss. Fine. But when ignorance has detrimental consequences for somebody that's not you, i.e. through something as obvious as obviously procreation, this is an issue, because it's not just you that's getting fucked over. Now we're putting somebody else at play here, and it changes the dynamic. It's not cool. Now that we're putting somebody else here off of your ignorance to the matter, your willful ignorance to many things, such as work, that are just obvious flaws to our humanity. But most people are okay with it. But that's them. But yeah, I do think people need to sit down and really understand the detriments to this, because it's sad what's going on. There's a whole saying about how older folks, parents, grandparents will say, oh, us antinatalists will come to realize that, this life isn't all too bad, or, we'll have our own offspring once we get older, right? But more times than not, I see myself confirming and solidifying my stance more so than any reprocessing of this idea. It's very simple. It doesn't make sense to go back from being where we are currently to then where most people always were. People never arise out of their humanity, their natalism. And for the people that do, for them to go then back, it's in a way Stockholm syndrome. It doesn't make sense in a obvious way. It's very subordinate like to then go back into a limitation, a bondage. So it's just a higher standard that I see with antinatalists that we're looking to do. We're just trying to have people be in a better state of mind, better state of a lifestyle, way of being. Of course, with that, the best way is to not even have this happen at all in the first place, of course. But it's just understanding certain realities and how we can't even obtain certain realities. Again, people want to say whatever type of political theory you want. I don't care. I don't care what side, but it's not here. And for the people that think that this current thing that we have is good for the world, then the world has other things to say to you, because there is a lot of flaws going on, as we know. So yeah, it doesn't make sense. The modernity that we have is, again, advanced slavery. Anybody that doesn't agree with that, that's fine. I understand, but I think it's pretty clear for the simple fact that, again, we're having to pay for simple things like food, water, and shelter. These things shouldn't have to be paid for, just to be frank. We can't even really imagine a world that would not be like that. It changes the entire psyche of anyone, being that that's something that's secured, that's insured. It changes the entire mentality of people. The whole concept of having to pay for such essentials is just insane. I'm sorry, but we're okay with it, I guess. We're very docile in admitting such faults. But, this is what people want. This is clearly what people want. So let them have it. Let them have it.